turbocharger in it, please. Yeah. The RZZ, RZZ, in front. Hit rear if it's real deal. There's gonna be a crash. Yeah. There's no left or right. Yeah. The steering response is too much. So is the aspiration with the temperature issue that I will get to with the crash. Right. And the previous race says that we've had so far. Right. So there is turbocharger. Right. And it's a young man's game. And it's a specialty, and it's for a stint or a season, or you can do it a little bit. Because it fucks up, like, physically, like the driver. Right. So like baseball, you have to be fat. Or like tennis, it gives you like a claw. Like a big arm. Right, so you're leaning one way or the other. Right. Remember, it fucks up the driver, and it fucks up the track. The car is fine. Well, no, not really. No, again, not if the driver and the track aren't okay. Because the shifting points are bad, so you're minding the aspiration, and the transmission gives out on you. Right. Early or late. You don't have the shifting points where they're supposed to be comfortably. Right. But it's an easier drive, and yet it's an easier drive deceptively so. What do you mean? Like you're comfortable in a turbocharger because the steering response is there, the track is less than you, the car is more than you. But once you get off of it, or once you stop driving turbocharger, you're just hurting all over the place. And like I said, in baseball, you end up being fat, or like in tennis, you end up with a claw. Right. Now, from this drive in front with the RZZ, RZZ, and I'm suspecting the MR in Group 3, and then the BRZ and the supercharger thing, there's a temperature issue. Okay. Now, outside, outdoors, generally speaking, with the weather on Earth, hot air goes up, cold air goes down. Okay. Given that there's water on it, and that it's dry enough, and it gives way to rain, or there's thunderclouds, and then there's like a storm or the weather. Keep in mind, hot air goes up, hot air goes up, cold air goes down. Okay. It goes around and around in like a swirl, like in the toilet, like it's like a spiral, but then like not the DNA, but just like flies, or like butterflies, or like a bird like diving, like a bird dives, but it has like an angle to it. Okay. So it's not like diving off of a swimming board, or like straight down. It's like it's going like with the air and stuff. Right. So now this turbocharger is drawing in the weather. Okay. And in the previous race, and in the race before the previous race, there was a gap, a pocket, a space somewhere in the race where I was getting pissed off, and I knew that they were getting away from it because they were all turbochargers. Right. Never mind the car list, never mind the wheelbase, whoever was driving, however they was driving. Okay. So it fucks up the track that way. Right. So then there's this random pocket, random space where the car is going to give out, no matter how defensively you drive. Keep in mind that you can't drive left or right because the tarmac, the asphalt, the tire contact, there's nothing there because of the transmission. Right. You don't have the shifting points no matter how much you underdrive. Okay. Because then this is pretty boring. Right. Because I know all of this. Okay. So I'm minding the track marshals, I'm minding the curb, I'm minding the signage, I'm minding the tree line, the treetops, the shadows, the temperature, how it looks, because of the humidity. Right. And I know I don't have the steering response because it gives out when I try to decide left to right, and then out and out, and then the shifting points. Damn. At like every turn, at every corner, every time I use a steering response. Okay. So there's no throttle on me. Okay. Because I don't even have the brakes. Okay. And I'm saying there is a turbocharger for a stint for a season. It's a young man's game, and then a specialty, but it's good to like generalize and then just like have a move like every now and then. Right, that somebody else has, that you learned, that you picked up, and then you just put it down. Hey, that's what that other guy does. I just, that one time. Right. Like the basics and whatnot. Right. I'm just trying to mind my business, get out of your hair, not keep it too personal or intimate. Right. Now, we did the Grand Prix, no problem. But there's no steering response. But we're nowhere in the track. And now we're in the green hell. And about to get into the village, the straights, carousel, get out of carousel, mini carousel, and so on. Right. But there's a crash. And then you can't tell. Okay. It's just so far ahead. And it's just me in this time trial. You could say second half of the race, maybe. But then the temperature would give out, the humidity would give out, the car list would give out. Right. Fuck. Gundam. Uh-huh. Ghost in the Shell. Uh-huh. Naruto. Uh-huh. You could. Right. Read the manual and then jump into the Gundam, let's say. Yeah. Right. You could single-handedly, right? Disarm, disable, neutralize, attack. Right. Fuck. And then you could Naruto, Sasuke versus Itachi, right? Light up a fire, right? And then call upon a thunder strike, or a thunderstorm, or a lightning strike, or a storm. So that's impossible. Right. Nobody does that. You would get lucky. You were just lucky. Right. You'd have to keep this in mind, and then maybe you'd have a chance at this. Right. In the Gundam, there's a war going on. Right. Ghost in the Shell, you're trapped between, you know, so many opposing forces. And then Naruto, well, Itachi's done before the fucking fight is even begun. Okay. Church. It's the steering response where I'm at that I just cannot. Okay. The turbocharger thing is fine at this point. Right. If I could have the steering response and the brakes. And there's enough game, the physics are there, it's all fine. It's all fine, it's all fine. Yeah. The animation brakes, I don't care. It's enough of an exercise. Right. It just pisses me off. Yeah, I can kind of see it. It's just so frustrating. It's like so much of real life. Right. The last time I saw a car with a stick shift, I was so happy. I thought it was real life again. You know? Okay. Here comes a crash, by the way. Which I am figuring out is from left to right. and you don't have that. So I go, where is it? And ta-da! Okay. I should have had the brakes. I should have seen that coming. Okay. With more driving time, yeah, sure. Still would be an unwelcome surprise. And then impressively pathetic. I like nature and like the physics being broken that way. Right. So this turbocharger thing, like I said, would hurt the driver and the track. It's just punishment, like punitive for just like paying for and stuff. It's really fucking bad. Like I'm saying, it's comfortable, but it's deceptively so. Because it's an intellectual and like physical and like, you know, combative or like exciting. But it leaves you with an injury. Like by the end, you're just like hurting all over the place. My hands are destroyed basically from this one drive. Okay. But there is turbocharger. Yeah. You just can't. Immediately, you're crying for front wheel naturally aspirated. Okay. And then some cars like really destroy the driver and the track. Yeah. Which is why I'm guessing the BRZ is like so bad, but it's not the WRX that destroys every other car in the car list. Right. Or the Lancer that has no chance at anything ever, and then other than being pleasant to the driver, and then just being like such a production, like. So then the next in line would be like the supercharger. It would be the BRZ and the RCZ Group 3. Fucking yeah. Mm-hmm. Damn though. I am telling you. It's just front wheel naturally aspirated, whatever you can drive in real life based on the wheelbase, power weight distribution, the weight, the height of the car, the cabin size, the fact that it's a real car because it's not too long, it's not too wide, it's not too tall, the weight at that point, by the way. And then there's only a couple cars that way. You're the height that you are, and yeah, you can, in a weird way, like an inch or two here or there if you wear shoes, if, if it's hot enough or like cold enough, and like Mr. Fantastic or something. You trick people into thinking you're 5'6" and 5'8", given whatever the time of the year is. Okay. Because in the GT in 2018, it's just like disgustingly long car. So is the C7. If it's not in, a real car or like Group 4. But then it's not a real car in Group 4. Right. So the GT again in like the test car. Fuck. And the Viper, but then in the Group 4. So and the Mustang is just kills the driver. And it's like pretty much turbocharger. But it's a Mustang, so you know when and where this thing will just like be the Mustang. Right. Then you can get used to like a turbocharger thing. But then just, you're that asshole. Front four-wheel drive. No rear. Right? Yeah, it barely fucking matters. Right? Damn, I wish I could say different or say otherwise, or that there isn't more to say about this. Right. It feels like the front rear naturally aspirated argument. Right. Like they go hand in hand or in lockstep, but then like this is like for now turbochargers fucking suck. Right. Like I remember or I whenever I saw like the driving from a stick shift, like right, it was like a difficult drive. But they would go to the mechanic, they would go like, don't do this automatic thing, just bring it into the shop. I know it's more money, but then it's like I'll give you a deal, and I was like, it's just you're not gonna. I know cars aren't a real thing, but you're gonna kill the driving Raj. Like as a little kid, just like half hearing maybe the truth, maybe Raj. And then once they switched to automatic cars, it's not that cars aren't real, but driving sucks all the time. And then they were like real drivers, right? And it was like, what's your favorite like car or whatever? And I was like, well, the Dodge Viper, because it was easy to say like a snake, or the Lamborghini, like because it was a bull, or not the Ferrari, because it was like rich people, right? Or the Suzuki, or the Honda, or like the Lancer, or whatever, right? And then now it's nothing but like fans and SUVs, and I don't think so. Hmm. Hmm. Damn, though, then. Just like for future reference, like a thing, this turbocharger thing, right? Hmm. Hmm. Damn, though. Right? Manufacturing production, right? Right. I mean, maintenance and production. Right. Damn, though, then. Hmm. 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 Now there's RZZ, RZZ, okay? Oh, yeah. Hmm.